Good evening. I'm Sierra Williams and welcome back to COVID Corner. I originally intended for this week's segment to conclude our discussion on COVID-19 conspiracies. However, a recent poll of 156 OSU students by the O'Colly on Twitter suggests that there is some vaccine hesitancy on campus. Only 76.3% of respondents plan to or have received the vaccine. As a result, I wanted to dedicate more time to talking about conspiracy theories to address the concerns of the student body and others who feel the same way. COVID-19 was the third leading cause of death in the United States in 2020. Despite the introduction of the vaccines and the recent rise in vaccination rates, there are still tens of thousands of cases every day and hundreds of deaths. In recent weeks, many of us have started to feel a sense of normalcy again, as we are able to gather with friends and family members who have been vaccinated without the fear of spreading the disease. However, vaccination hesitancy threatens to stretch the pandemic out for months longer. According to a 2021 study in Vaccines, only an estimated 56.9% of Americans accept the current vaccines. Such a low percentage of individuals who plan to get the vaccine means herd immunity may not exist, as the exact percentage of vaccinated individuals needed for herd immunity to COVID-19 is still unclear. This will allow the virus to continue spreading and obtaining new, more pathogenic mutations. That's why I wanted to dedicate this segment to discussing vaccine conspiracies. I'm going to help inoculate you against misleading information about the vaccines. Vaccine conspiracies have existed since Edward Jenner created the first vaccine against smallpox. People were afraid to receive Jenner's vaccine because they believed it would cause them to grow horns. While such an idea seems preposterous to us, vaccine hesitancy has been steadily increasing over the past few years due to conspiracies that also feed on fear. This stems from a now retracted article published by Andrew Wakefield linking the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine to autism. Wakefield forged facts and failed to disclose conflicting financial interests, leading to the removal of his medical license. Despite this, anti-vaccination theories have gained traction across social media, and in 2019, this led to the largest measles outbreak since 1992. These conspiracies now target the COVID-19 vaccines, being shared and retweeted across social media with very little fact-checking. A few weeks ago, I explained how the Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson vaccines work. That segment is available everywhere you can stream the Daily O, like YouTube and Fire TV. Because I devoted a whole segment to vaccines, I won't spend time talking about how the vaccines work, but rather debunking popular conspiracies about them. Let's start with one of the more popular theories, mass vaccination. This theory states that COVID-19 was created as a pretense for a mass vaccination campaign wherein microchips will be implanted into vaccine recipients. A recent article in PLOS ONE modeled the probability that such a notion was remotely true. This estimate was calculated using the assumption that drug manufacturers and researchers would need to be complicit in the deception. As more time passes, the probability such a theory is untrue increases. Additionally, the use of microchips is highly unlikely in the current vaccination strategy. For one, a microchip requires a fairly large needle to inject, as those of us who have cats or dogs may know. I have received the Pfizer vaccine and I can tell you the needle was a 27 gauge needle at most, which is the same size I use to draw blood from the zebra finches in my lab, so it's pretty tiny. Additionally, these chips are inserted under the skin, while the vaccines are intramuscular. Thus, I am perfectly confident no one is tracking me stopping by Freddy's twice in one day. While the deep state may not be tracking your movements, there is a growing concern it may seek to control them. Over the past several months, there is increasing outrage over the proposal of vaccine passports. Some of these concerns are legitimate, as much of the population is not currently eligible to receive a vaccine. So if businesses, transit, government buildings, schools, or even public areas start requiring proof of immunization, such individuals may be affected through no fault of their own. Additionally, there are still challenges with a shortage of appointment slots when you do become eligible. However, requiring proof of vaccination to participate in events or attend schools is not new. OSU requires students to be vaccinated against measles, mumps, rubella, hepatitis B, and others. Students who have objections can be barred from campus in the case of an outbreak. Additionally, when you receive your COVID-19 vaccine, you'll receive a card like this that indicates when and where you received your vaccine, so you don't need to search for that information. While I do hope they come up with a better system, because this is fairly large and bulky and I'm definitely going to lose it, at this point in time, I haven't needed to do any additional work to obtain my vaccination records. Although the issue may lie less in keeping track of the vaccine and more in the actual ingredients. Skeptics of the COVID-19 vaccines question the safety of the inoculation, which is the same approach used in other anti-vaccination rhetoric. Reading the ingredient list on even a household product without a background in chemistry can make us uneasy. Sodium lauryl sulfate sounds scary when in reality it's derived from palm oil and is one of the most popular ingredients in cosmetics, soaps, and shampoos. While the use of palm oil is not great for the environment, the most harm it will do to you is irritate your skin. With that in mind, let's look at some of the most frightening sounding ingredients in the COVID-19 vaccines. The Pfizer vaccine contains lipid nanoparticles with some obnoxiously long names that will show on the screen, but I'm not going to try to pronounce. The purpose of these nanoparticles is to act as a delivery system for the mRNA so that it can access the correct spot in our cells to tell it to start making the spike protein. If the mRNA is injected on its own, it's likely to be degraded and thus not reach its destination. There are also some salts in the vaccine to maintain the pH. These include potassium chloride, monobasic potassium, phosphate, sodium chloride, and others. These are commonly found in our body. So what about the other vaccines? Moderna's ingredient list is similar, except it contains acid and acid stabilizers to help maintain the vaccine's complex structure, rather than lots of salts. Although the stabilizers used in the Moderna vaccine have been used by people before, either in food or other treatments, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine includes the non-replicating human adenovirus, type 26, expressing the COVID-19 spike protein. The vaccine also uses a preservative found in citrus fruits, an anticoagulant to prevent blood clots, 2 stabilization agents, and salt. That's it. You can find all the ingredients to the 3 vaccines yourself, along with the information about them, on the CDC's website at www.cdc.gov/coronavirus. Before we go, I want to reiterate some tips from last week on stopping the spread of misinfodemics. First, make sure to fact check before sharing information about COVID-19 on Facebook or Twitter. Second, call out false or misleading information in person and on social media. Lastly, spread accurate information like the kind found on the CDC and World Health Organization's websites. Next week, we will wrap up conspiracy theories by discussing why people believe them and what we can do as a society to stop them from spreading. Stay safe, stay informed. For the Daily O, I'm Sierra Williams.